Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Gimpy Camper. So this series of videos is going to be a little bit different in the fact that it's going to be more of like a travel vlog style than our typical campground reviews and DIY videos. We're on our first long trip out west. We're actually near Badlands, South Dakota right here. We stopped at a truck stop here because we're on our way to Nomad View. And Nomad View is not the easiest place to find from what I understand if you've never been there before. It was after dark when we rolled in. Now we're coming from the eastern side of the states, and so when we came over here, night one we stayed in Missouri. I think it was Columbia, Missouri. It was just this side of St. Louis. And then day two we drove all the way the rest of the way where we're going. But it was after dark when we got here. We do pass from Central Time to Mountain Time right along the border here. And so even though it's only like 10 o'clock, I think it's 10 o'clock our time. I think it was 8 o'clock here, but it was already dark. Couldn't see anything. So I did a little look on RV Parky, which I've been using a lot for my overnight stops. That seems to really help. But I didn't see anything else, so I thought, well, I guess we'll try to find Nomad View and we'll just pull up somewhere and just not unhook or anything like we usually do. But the problem with that is I couldn't find a whole lot of information on where it was. I do have a friend that's been there, so he gave me some tips on that. But still, I was like, I don't know, let's try to find somewhere else to go. So I kind of forgot about freecampsites.net. So I typed in freecampsites.net and it told me that you could overnight park here in the Badlands travel stop right before Wall, South Dakota. And so we pulled in here because it's about 20 miles from where I was at the time, and we just spent the night here at the truck stop. It's been, an uneventful night. Got some good rest. It's been a lot of driving on the way up here, but we're getting ready to head out of here and go to Nomad View, where I intend to be thoroughly impressed. So as you can see, we found the Nomad View area. This view is phenomenal, and that screen's not doing it any justice right now, I can tell you that. My camper is about 10 feet to this side of me, and so this is my front porch. Like, this is just awesome, okay? So if you're coming through Wall, South Dakota, you have to stop here as long as you're the dry camping type. Obviously, there's no hookups or electricity or anything like that along this ridge, but you have to come stay at the Wall because this place is just phenomenal. I'm going to try to help you guys get here and find this a little bit easier than what I had found. If you go to Google Maps, then it's actually going to be on there under Badlands Boondocking area in Wall, South Dakota. Now that's going to take you to the first entrance down here, which I don't really recommend, but that's only because when you turn in, the road's actually better, but as soon as you get over to the Wall and you turn, you got to go up a pretty steep hill, and I thought I was going to have to put it in four-wheel drive, and then I think that my bed rails did make contact with under portion of my camper when I went over that hill. So that's not the way that I recommend most people come in. I would actually take the second entrance, and we're going to go over exactly how to find that in just a second. But the second entrance, the road's not as good. I mean, the road's fine, it's gravel, but you do have a lot of potholes in the road, so you got to go slow. But that being said, it's a better way to get in here and go over 9/10 of this area. This area is 2 miles long along this wall where you can just pull up and camp right beside the edge of this canyon right here. And I mean, I don't even know what else I can say about it. 2 miles free camping with this view. All right, so if you're going westbound on I-90, which I think the majority of people are going to be going that come here and use this for a stop to go to Yellowstone or something like that. But if you're going to be going westbound on I-90, you get off at exit 110, and that's Wall, South Dakota. That's right where the Wall Drug and all that stuff is. You're going to turn left, and you're going to go for 6.5 miles, and you're going to find this road on the left. There's no markings, there's no signage. There used to be a cattle gate, apparently. There's not a cattle gate anymore. Now there's a grate that you drive across. I tried to find some weight ratings and stuff on that. There wasn't one there. But there's some huge rigs in here. I don't think you're going to have any issues with that. You're just going to have to go very slow. Another thing that can cue you in that you're in the right place is when you look to your left, you're going to see 2 cell phone towers that are right beside the road in here. So you're going to see those, and you're going to see them turn off to the left, and that's where you're supposed to go. Now that first turn off that I said I would avoid if I was in a large rig, that's going to be at 4.7 miles from that exit on I-90, because it's another 1.8 miles to get to the 6.5 miles where this main entrance is going to be. One thing that people kind of question when they're coming in, especially with the potholes and stuff, is are they going to be able to get their rig in here? And I can tell you, with the exception of the one spot at the very end that I talked about with the big hill, you can take a 40-foot motorhome up and down anywhere through here and you won't have an issue. There's big fifth wheels, there's big Class A's in here. If you turn right after that second entrance, the main entrance that I'm talking about with the cell towers, then it only goes about 1/4 mile, and there's a very large turnaround down there. And if you go the other way, you can go all the way down. You can turn around almost anywhere around here because a lot of it's just flat grassland. So you don't have to feel pinned in. Now when you get to the very end, you won't know you're at that hill until you crest over the hill. But besides that, there are bunches and bunches of sites in here. A lot of people come in on this main road and they just gather up right here where we are. I came in the other way and I parked right here because it was the best open space that I found at the time. But right now, over the weekend, like, all these people have come in and filled in the gaps in between campers and stuff, and they're all piled in right here in this one area. And I just drove down through there a minute ago, and I'm telling you, there's 4 or 5 good private spots that are down there by yourself. So I would always come in and kind of drive the whole thing, see where you want to go, and take it from there. So like I said, I'm going to do this video more of a travel vlog style. So after we came in and got the camper all squared away and parked and just all set up, then we decided to go to Wall Drug. Now, coming in here, you're going to pass about 4 million signs for Wall Drug. And those 4 million signs just let you know that this is a tourist trap. But I'm going to tell you that it's really not that bad. I mean, yeah, it's a tourist trap. It's a nice place. I'm going to get into it a little bit more. But at least it's not like a tourist trap that costs you like $50 to go into, because essentially it's a large souvenir shop and all you're doing is buying souvenirs. And so really all you have to do is control how much money you spend while you're in the store, and you can get out of there relatively cheaply. For those of you that don't know, Wall Drug was opened in 1931, and they've kind of turned their tourist attraction. It started from very simple measures. It started from giving a weary traveler free ice water anytime they come through, and that kind of built into the huge store that they have today. They still give you free ice water because that's kind of their trademark, but they also have a cafe. They have several stores. Like, these stores are all connected together, so you don't have to go outside. You can just walk through. But there's souvenir shops, there's leather shops, there's an art center in there. There's almost anything you could think of as far as just, merchandising this whole Badlands, Black Hills, South Dakota area. It's all right there. They also throw some entertaining stuff in. They have the Zoltan, the fortune teller machine. They have statues that are like wood carvings in there. They have some taxidermy. They have a chapel, a traveler's chapel in there, as well as they have like different just kind of gimmicky things, like I think it's called the Chuck Wagon Quartet, which were some animatronics that kind of sung and whatever in the back of one of the stores. And so, yeah, it's a little gimmicky, But it's kind of fun to hang out for a little while and just kind of see whatever's there. And if you're going to buy some souvenirs, just go ahead and pick you up a couple while you're there. And you know, everything seems to be decently priced in there. Nothing's horribly crazy. And if you're hungry and you want to eat there, they have a cafe. We didn't eat there, but you know, a lot of people do. One thing that I want to say about Wall Drug is the signage wasn't that great as far as where to park or whatever. But we did find it, obviously. And if you're like even in your camper RV, there is some RV parking within like a block of Wall Drug. There's several different places where we saw RVs parked that were just like open lots. But in between, it's actually kind of across the street from Wall Drug. There's a line of parking spots there. And behind that line of parking spots, it's kind of hidden, but there's some RV sites back there. And that's between those stores across from Wall Drug and the big silos that are at the end of the street there. After our adventure at Wall Drug, we decided to go ahead and check out the Badlands National Park. So in order to get there, you go just like you're going to go back here to Nomad View. You just keep going straight past the turn in here and you're going to get to one of the entrances of the Badlands Park. And that's basically set up as a scenic route where you can drive and you can just go along through there and you come out all the way on the other end and it loops around to I-90 again, and you can just come back up here over the interstate, or you can turn around and come back through the park and end up right back here where you are. One thing important about the Badlands National Grassland area is that if you do have the park pass, the handicap pass, the military pass, the senior pass, even the yearly pass, that will cover your entrance fees to get into this park. So there's no additional cost there. All you got to do is just show them your little card and they'll just let you ride on in. One thing that I didn't know about until we started this trip was the Gypsy app. My wife had ran across it and it was highly recommended by somebody else, and now I see why. If you're going to a park where you don't have good cell service, which I'll say this cell service up here is pretty good, and even through the Badlands area, it's pretty good cell service. But if you're going to be going somewhere where there's not, you can download the information ahead of time. But basically what they do is they use your GPS on your phone, and as you drive, it gives you different directions and it gives you a guided tour basically as you pass along these GPS points. And I found it really helpful. I found it more helpful in the Black Hills area, which we'll get into probably on our next video. But in this area here, it was still helpful, and you learned a lot of history about the area that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I would have just drove through and took a few pictures of the wildlife and been on my way. But I highly recommend that app because it really taught us a lot this week. Now, the main road going through the Badlands is paved that goes through, and there is one side road that's not paved. It is gravel, and it does get kind of rough. We went about 4 miles down that gravel road to see a prairie dog colony down there and turned around. We did not have the rig with us, but a lot of people do go down the paved road there with the rig in tow. And, you know, it's not as fun, I don't guess, because it's harder to pull off if you really want to pull over and see something, because you got to have more space. But it is perfectly doable. Like if you're driving through and you just want to catch the area for a few minutes on your way through, you know, there's no reason to stop and unhook your tow car and find somewhere to park your RV. You can make it through there, and it's a beautiful area. If you've never been here, I do highly recommend it if you're in the area. But I even more recommend just coming up here and staying up here for a little while and then going and do that as a side trip, because this is the best camping site I've ever been to. There were quite a few wildlife that we saw on our drive through the Badlands. We saw some antelope. There's been a few antelope up here in the Nomad View area as well. We saw some rams. We saw a couple of deer. We saw the bison, buffalo, of course. None of the buffalo here at the Badlands National Area were really close when we went through, but we did see some on our next venture over to Custer State Park, which we'll get into in our next video. So all in all, our trip's going great. We're having a great time. I've took plenty of pictures. We should have plenty of information for videos right now, and I'm just sharing our trip with you. And I thank you for joining and coming along, and just stay tuned for our next video. Thanks, guys.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.